just me and my guitar.
Hey, what's happening guys? Mark back on the Serengeti and Mark's Aquatics. If you look up in the middle of the screen there, you'll see the very, very rare and elusive Ottocinclus bird just hovering up there in the morning thermals. It's a stunning morning this morning. The lions have been out on the prowl. They left Pride Rock early this morning, as you can see over there on the right hand side, down to the watering hole to prey upon the zebra, the wildebeest and the antelope, which they regularly do in the evenings as they have superior eyesight in the night, and that's when they tend to do most of their hunting. They did take down a wildebeest last night. We got it all on film. Absolutely amazing spectacle to see, and we hope to share some of that footage with you later on as the video progresses. Anyway, my lovely lot, I think what we should do now is turn the lights on in the workshop and look and see how this beautiful little acrylic shrimp tank that I've been making has turned out and cleared up. My goodness, what a huge big flock of egrets there have just flown straight into the water hole. Absolutely amazing to see. Masses of noise and commotion going on. Predators are still lurking around, that's why it's so noisy. All a little bit on edge still, the sun's just coming up. Right, let's get on with this acrylic shrimp tank. See you in a minute, guys. Hey, what's happening guys? We're back in the workshop again. It's the following day. It's a bit chilly in here last night, it really was. So I went and made myself a nice cup of tea and called it a night on that one. As you can see now, we're filling up with RO water very slowly. Got about 2 or 3 inches in there so far, and we're going up nice and slow. Now when you do this sort of thing, you're going to get some debris and some dust which is going to come up, float away on the surface, but that's not to worry, because you can always just dip a little glass in the top or just push it in that way and it will just suck it over the lip and go in. You can remove a lot of that dust that way, and the filters will do the rest of it. But I'm just going to fill this up now over a period of probably going to take about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to fill this up. It's a very, very slow drip, as you can see, coming out the RO unit, but it strips every single mineral, everything out of the water. So it's just absolutely just pure water in there. Nothing else is going in, because we want this to be as natural as possible without any contaminants in there whatsoever. We've cleaned all the rocks off, all the gravel. We'll give it a couple of water changes, take this water down at half, refill it again over the next few days, just do it, and then we'll slowly remineralise the water. But the stones that are in there and the substrate will remineralise it to a certain extent, but then I want to get it up to the right TDS for the shrimp that I'm going to put in there. So I'll make sure it's all static, everything's level, and the heater can go on then, and we can start cycling the little tank through. Some of you guys have been asking for an update on the moss tank, so I thought I'd put the tanks quite close to each other. So I'm going to try and get a smaller tank in here. I'm going to try and build a series of other little tanks as well, and different types of builds to keep different things and keep it all DIY as usual. But the moss tank's coming on fantastic, it really is. We've had no die back at all, and since we chopped it all back last time, you can see all this new growth that's come from down below, all new growth sprouting up, little shoots popping up everywhere, which is a great sign. It really is a good sign. And the star moss is growing. That's that lot just over here, that big patch there, but it's not growing as vigorously as the other mosses in here. We've got rid of that horrible stringy algae. There's a little bit left, but on the last water change, when I dropped it right down to about here, I just give everything a light spray with 6% hydrogen peroxide, and that kills off that algae. That hair algae doesn't like those conditions, and it does kill it off. As you can see there now, it's there's a few little strands kicking about here and there, but nowhere near as much as there was last time. And it's looking a lot better. It's starting to go properly through this cycle now. The media is all cycled in the back, so it's biologically okay, but it probably needs a little bit more, because the ammonia's are a little bit up in there. They're not now, everything's down there nice now. It's just very low nitrate in there now, and it's done its cycle through. So everything that had died in amongst it all now has gone through that stage. So now we're just adding little bits of that liquid CO2 in there once a week, like I did on the other video. If you're new to these videos, guys, pop back. You can see how I created this garden moss tank from scratch, from taking it all, putting it all in the tank, aquascaping it all, and the stages of it going through. Quite interesting stuff. I might find some other different types of mosses actually, and maybe clear a little piece out, maybe put a different type of moss in amongst it, just to see if that grows as well. Yeah, really excited, guys, about this little tank. It's coming on really well, looking good. A couple of you have said about the stones and about where I placed them and things, saying about them, I can't remember who it was now, but they said about the middle stone not looking right, but the other two on the left and the right were looking okay. Now the reason I put that one in there was obviously just to keep the soil back behind, so we could grow a nice little garden pet area up in the back there as well. But when that rickia starts to grow, and it'll cover those rocks and it'll start coming up higher, and we can get some different dimension in there, and then later on you'll see what I mean and why I planted them like that. And it's like I said, everyone's got their own tastes and ideas on how a tank should look, and what a scape is. You know, not everyone likes the similar scapes, or they've got their own ideas. So this is what I've just come up with, what I've got to look at every day, and I'm quite happy the way it's turned out so far. And I can because I've done these things for so many years now, I can see what it's going to look like, how I'm going to trim it back. I've just got this imagination in me, and I can just see it a month, 2 months down the line, how things are going to grow out, how long things take to grow out and establish. And I've got it built, finished in my head before it's even started. I drive the wife crackers, I really do. She'll say, oh, shall we do this? And I say, yeah, okay, then we can do that, we can do this, and this is what it's going to look like. And she says, I just can't do that. But some people can, some people can't. There's lots of things that I can't do that other people can do. That's why we've all got our own set of hands, because the world will be a dull place if we're all good at the same thing. And there's plenty of people that I watch on YouTube, and I'm just wowed by what they do. It's unreal, some of the stuff that some people do, that they do on there. It's amazing, it really is. All this hair grass now will start to creep through and pop up everywhere, and we'll have a nice little carpet of hair grass there. That's going to look quite good. And as that fills up with water, you're going to get a slight little bit of distortion there. It's going to look different than it does looking through it like that. I know you think, oh well, that's what it is, it's going to go clear, it'll look the same, but things get magnified slightly through the water, and it will look a little bit different, and the plants will stand up as well, and they'll start growing up, and it will look pretty decent afterwards. But it's going to take a while to fill up now, so I'll leave you for a minute. I'll let this fill up, and then we'll have another look at it when it's full up, okay, and we'll get the filter going. Right, okay guys, I've filled it up now. Looking a little bit murky in there, but that's to be expected. Now, if you remember the Richard from Pond Guru sent me some of the Biohome gravel and the Biohome Ultimate as well. Now this has been in the other trickle filter, because I overfilled it right to the top because I knew I was going to be doing other projects. So I've kept this nice little, I've just extracted this from the other filter, given it a wash through, just with a bit of tank water, just to get some of the sediment off. You can still see the remnants there of the little the starter cultures that he sent as well, which is releases billions of little bacteria into the system. Now hopefully we've got a good colony of aerobic and anaerobic bacteria growing inside this media now, so we're going to put that into the back, and you can see now the filter there is blasting away nicely in the filter box. A bit glary, sorry. But what we're going to do is now, I've got the spray bar out at the moment. This is the spray bar, if you remember we made, and that fits on there. Now that's going to give us a nice jet. I'll try and fix that on. There you go, you can see that working nicely there now. It's not in position yet, but that's what it's going to look like. But we're going to fill this up with the media now. A few bits of floating plants to be expected as well. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to empty this media now. I'm going to need both hands for this a minute. Right then, there you go guys. That's all up and running. Just grab the old microphone and stick it back on again. That's better. Right, now you can see we've got a nice little spray going in there now. Working magic. All that media now getting a nice shower. But what we're going to do now is I've just cut a nice piece of filter floss, which I'm going to put underneath that bar. That's going to take out all that little sediment first, and so we can interchange that. We can take this out, clean it out periodically, and keep the tank nice and clean. You can see there now we've got a nice even little beading of water coming across, not too savage. And inside the tank, as you can see, all the little bits of particulate are floating about, which is brilliant. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put this piece in again, but I'll need both hands again. I'll let you see in a minute what I've done. Okay, right, okay, there you go. Just put the filter floss underneath now, and we've got a nice spray. Now that will soak up water, that will now, all over it, and then equally disperse it all over that biomedia, which is already cycled. So that's really going to speed the system up in here. Obviously all the rocks and everything, we're going to do a partial cycle in this system now. We're not going to put anything in it as yet, but that's just to show you that it's all up and running. And we got our little lid there now with our hinges. So we can close up, and we got that built in there nicely now. I'll just close that tank lights down a bit. You can probably see a bit better. But there you go. I've got the, oh I see, sorry, I've got the pump, sorry, the heater cable, which I've got to, on this side now, I've got to make a nice, I've got to do a nice little recess in there. I can just buzz that in with my grinder very quickly. Just a little dip there, and maybe a little dip at the back there, just to let that cable sit in, so the lid will sit nice and flush. Mind you, it's not too bad as it is, to be honest. But as you can see, it's got a nice little disbursement of water there now. So now that's going to come across, it's going to aim it to the front. You can already see all the little bits floating around, and the little bits of plant that have uprooted slowly. But we'll give this some time now to clear up. We'll put the heater on, filter's running now, and it won't be long before it's as clear as this one, and the plants will be as green as that as well when they get established. So I'm looking forward to that. Right, I'm going to plug the heater in a minute. It's quite nice actually, because when you're standing here where I am now, there's no signs of any pipe work in there. You can barely see that heater on the surface, because that's me looking down on it now from my eye level, looking down. Obviously if you were right down on the floor and you were looking up, you'd see it, but standing up, or if you had it on a stand in your house somewhere, it's going to look, you won't be able to see anything in the apart from the shrimp and the substrate and the rocks and the plants, which is nice. Okay guys, there you go, filter's all done. I've got two bits of glass now, one either side, just because it's a bit chillier now, and that's going to hold that teat in. So there's a nice bit of thick 5mm glass. Looks quite funky here actually. But that's what I've done. Everything's encased now. All looking good. And our little aquascape's on the way. I've got a few more bits of hair grass which I'm going to put a few more plugs in amongst down here. Maybe later on, but we'll leave it now for a few hours. And we'll see how it clears up. It should clear up pretty well in a few hours time. I'll catch up with you then. There you go guys, it's cleared up absolutely beautiful now. Been a couple of hours. Still got some clearing up to do. We've got a little bit of tannin in the water from the stones probably, and a bit from the media as well. But overall it's looking brilliant. Looking nice. Plants are all healthy. They're still attached where we put them. Nothing else has come out. Just a little bit of oxygen now being released from the hair grass where we've snipped it off at the top. So it tends to release a little bit of oxygen out of there. Everything else is fine. And looking good. A little bit of baby's tears there. Once pushing back in, I'll do that later on. Filter's working fantastic. Temperature's up. We'll just get the old probe out. What are we now? We're 15 degrees. 14.8 at the moment. So the heater's there. It's coming up slowly. Looking good. There's another view of the moss tank there, which is doing very well. You can see all those new bits of growth. There's a little bit of hair algae left, but not so much now. After I gave it a little squirt with the hydrogen peroxide, that tends to kill it off. Not much left. You can see all the growth when we cut it last time. Still amazing growth in there. As is on that as well. You can see all the longer bits because I cut it back quite flush all over, didn't I? So you can see how much it's grown. Doing really well. All the minnows are healthy. And there you go. So we've got an up and running shrimp tank, guys. All cycle media in there, so it shouldn't take too long, maybe a couple of weeks and we'll have something in there. Just keep the old regular tests going on and make sure everything's perfect before we put anything in there. Here's the big old tank. I did a bit of a scape job on that yesterday, removed a lot of that hair algae that was in there and give that a bit of a clean up as well. It looks absolutely, I think it looks brilliant with those lights on. I have to trim back a few of the little plants as well. I'll give it a little bit of a haircut on the grass, but still looks fabulous. And that's the sort of thing I'm going to try and get on the back here. Now I did buy some of these little tiny lights that I showed you earlier on, and I managed to get some batteries for one set I've got here somewhere. Here it is. Little set there, but they're not too bad. They do all this flashing malarkey as well. There's a meter of it there, but I'm going to try that behind there later on and try and get a bit of an effect with that. Also, I'm not sure really, we might need a stronger light than that, but a slight little faint glow can make an amazing show also. So I'll give it a try first. Anyway guys, thanks for tuning in to part 4. As always, you're all stars. Look after yourselves. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed, and hit the notification bell for up and coming videos. Anyway guys, love you loads, you're all stars. Take care, and I'll see you on the next episode of Mark's Aquatics. Bye for now.
Just me and my guitar.